I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be here with all of you, my fellow Americans, my fellow patriots, people who understand how truly special it is and what a privilege it is to live in this great country. A country that is great because of the founding principles that our founding fathers laid down as the foundation for our country, and that we continue to strive to fulfill and uphold and honor every day, and especially in this election. I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, twice. I did it first when, like many Americans, I enlisted in the military because of the Islamist terrorist attack on our country on 9/11. And I did it again when I was elected as a member of the United States Congress representing Hawaii's 2nd District. That oath is emblazoned in my heart, and that's why I'm here joining you all tonight. Because it is our Constitution and our fundamental freedoms enshrined in our Constitution and Bill of Rights that are under attack. We can have disagreements in our politics as we discuss the great challenges and the great issues that we face. But it is times like this, when those very freedoms are under threat, that we must stand together, united as Americans who cherish peace and freedom and who love this great country. It's easy to forget sometimes that our founding fathers also had disagreements on different things. They debated fiercely in private and in public, but they came together around the things that were most important. It is our freedom. It is our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're dealing with an administration and a government and an establishment in Washington that views our freedom as the greatest threat to their power. And they are willing to do, as we have seen over these last 4 years, whatever it takes to hold on to that power. It's a very dangerous mindset. When we have people in positions of power who view their authority and their position as greater than the Constitution, and are so willing to weaponize and use their levers of power, these public institutions that actually were formed and exist to serve the greater public good, that exist to serve the American people, they use them as their own political weapons against their opponents, against the American people who dare to stand against them or oppose them or challenge their positions and policies. This is what is happening in our country and what's at stake now in this election. Now, I joined the Democratic Party over 20 years ago. I was 21 years old, looking for a way to be of service. And I was running for the state legislature, and I had to pick which party I was going to be a part of. My parents, they were not partisan. They focused on issues and voted according to the issues that were most important to them. And so I didn't have a lineage of partisan politics that I had any attachment to. When I looked at the Democratic Party at that time, it was still a Democratic Party that was a big open tent, that defended free speech, even the speech of those who they may not agree with, or speech they may have found to be abhorrent, because they understood then what remains true today, and what our founders recognized to be true, is that if this free speech of one of us is taken away, any other person or group may be next. It was a party that stood up for the little guy, that stood up for civil liberties, stood up for our right to privacy, and standing against the broad overreach of big government into the most personal parts of our lives. It was a party that stood up for peace. When you look at that party today, it's completely unrecognizable. It stands for the exact opposite of every one of those things that drew me to what was the party of President John F. Kennedy, what was the party of Martin Luther King Jr. The actions that they are taking, the policies that they are pushing, stand in defiance of the dreams that these great leaders came before us had for our country. I left the Democratic Party because it is under the control of an elitist cabal of woke warmongers who are doing everything they can to divide us. Because they recognize when we are divided, they are stronger. When we are pointing our arrows at each other, we are not paying attention to how they are undermining our freedoms and destroying our country. I left the Democratic Party because it's led by fanatical ideologues who simply do not believe in freedom. They don't believe in freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, the right of any one of us to express our faith in the way that we choose, the right of every one of us to express our criticism of our own government, the reason why we have the First Amendment in place. You don't have to take my word for it, because we can look at the last 4 years for proof. Kamala Harris has declared, you'll hear the word freedom a lot when she's giving speeches, that she will be the champion of freedom as president. And yet, she has spent the last 4 years trying to censor us. The hypocrisy is so rich that she does this, along with many others in the Democrat elite, in the name of protecting us from misinformation and disinformation and hate speech, and they don't want us to be able to discern for ourselves, see the information for ourselves, and make up our own minds. They need to control what we see. She says she stands for freedom, and that Donald Trump will be a dictator who goes after his political opponents if he is elected as president. Never mind the fact that they've been warning about this for a long time. He didn't do it when he was president before. He won't do it when he's president again. But the hypocrisy is in the fact that the Harris-Biden administration has been doing this for the last 4 years. And of course, President Trump has been their target number one. Over 32 states trying to remove his name from the ballot, so that we wouldn't even have the choice to make up our own minds of who we want to vote for. Weaponizing every level of the Justice Department and law enforcement at the federal level and state level to go after him in a way that has never been done before in our country's history. But that as we look to other authoritarian dictatorships in other parts of the world is commonplace. In a banana republic, but not in a democratic republic. I experienced this recently, this political retaliation, just one day after I gave an interview with Laura Ingraham on Fox News, where I was warning, both as an American, as a soldier, as a veteran, about how dangerous the consequences would be for our country if Kamala Harris is allowed to serve as president and commander-in-chief. One day after that interview, I was added to a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. A lot of people don't know about this. I wasn't aware. I had experienced a lot of screening going through TSA as I traveled. I noticed that there were air marshals around me at different points. I didn't realize that there were a team of air marshals who were surveilling me from the point I got to the airport, on the flight, and to wherever I was going, until whistleblowers came forward. Federal air marshals who were so disgusted at being used as pawns for Kamala Harris's political retaliation, they had to come forward with evidence and proof, and they presented that to Congress. It's not just me. There are peaceful pro-life protesters who've experienced their front doors being kicked down by FBI SWAT team in the middle of the night. We've seen how the FBI has targeted what they call radical traditionalist Catholics as somehow a potential threat. to our country. When I saw that memo come out, I wondered, my dad's Catholic, I wondered what makes up the radical traditionalist Catholic? What are the red flags that they're looking for? The main one was Catholics who attend a traditional Mass in Latin. They wanted to put people in those services to surveil those